The Weeknd is one of the most iconic and famous artists in the world. He has won 4 Grammys until he started boycotting them, sold over 75 million records, earned 7 diamond certifications, has the most streamed song in Spotify history, and will go down as one of the most iconic artists in the world when it's all said and done. From the mixtapes he released at the beginning of his career that completely changed the R&B landscape, to the enormous success of his more recent projects like Starboy and After Hours, his popularity and influence cannot be denied. On the other side of the coin though, we have Travis Scott, another one of the most famous artists in the world. He has won many awards, no Grammys though, had the highest grossing rap tour of the year and second of all time, and has collabed with almost every artist you know out there. The production on his album sound unique to him and out of this world, and there's a reason why he's one of the most influential artists in the world. Comparing these two artists is hard, because both are going for a different style of music and are trying to do something different with their music. Even when both collaborate on a song together like Pray for Love or K-pop, they still approach the song in a different way that fits their voice and style best. The best way to compare them is to not look at their music and put them on a different playing field. With anything popular in this day and age, it all ends up in one place, somewhere where we will all eventually end up in, doomed to repeat the same process over and over again just to earn a shallow victory. Fortnite! Once Fortnite started adding musicians into the game, these two were basically guaranteed, and we wouldn't have to wait long for Travis Scott as he joined in April of 2020, only a year after the first icon skin was added. However, The Weeknd is a bit of a different story. It wasn't until December 9th of 2023, over 3 years later, that we finally saw The Weeknd added as a headliner for the first Fortnite festival season. Since both are in Fortnite now, it's time to compare them on a playing field that isn't music. Since I'm a big Weeknd fan, I own everything from his set in Fortnite. Same goes for Travis. This is where the video is supposed to cut to Travis Scott on my Fortnite locker, but one minor detail I forgot about, I don't own him. Yeah, being a broke teen when he released means you can't buy a lot of things, including $20 worth of V-Bucks. Thankfully, he would return to the item shop at a later date when I did have money, right? Damn it, this video is impossible now. How am I supposed to compare the Fortnite versions of them when I don't even digitally own one of them? If only there was a way to physically own your Fortnite characters that could be bought whenever in the future. Oh. Cool. When a huge collab between one of the most famous artists in the world and one of the biggest games in the world happens, both companies like to profit in ways outside of just the skin sales. Both The Weeknd and Travis Scott will release merch based off of their Fortnite appearances. We got hoodies, t-shirts, a Nerf gun, but most importantly, both would drop figures based off of their Fortnite designs, and I have both of them right here. So, if I can't compare the digital versions of them, these will have to suffice. It's time to decide, between The Weeknd and Travis Scott, which artist is considered better in terms of Fortnite, and the Fortnite figures specifically. Both figures come in almost identical packaging, which is surprising and not surprising at the same time. Not surprising because both are made by the same company, Jazzwares, and not Hasbro like I mistakenly said in the previous video. It is surprising because, as you can see, there's a pretty big size difference between the both of them, so you would think they'd be packaged differently, but nope. Both don't even follow the packaging from the series they're from. Travis Scott is from the Victory series, and The Weeknd is from the Legendary series, and if we compare them with other figures from that line, neither are packaged the same as the other one. It's kinda cool though, because it makes them feel like a special one-of-a-kind figure in this line. The Weeknd slipcover has XO printed on all 4 sides with a cool sparkly texture. The top has nothing, and the bottom has basic copyright information and instructions on how to replace the batteries? Interesting. Travis Scott's is a bit different. His slipcover has the Fortnite logo printed on the top and sides in this nice shiny silver color. On the front, we have one of his promotional renders used for him when his concert was happening. The back has the logo for Cactus Jack, Travis's record label, and a quote by him on the bottom. Sliding off the slipcover reveals the exact same back the slipcover had, but flipping it to the front shows us the 2 figures we get in this package. Yeah, you heard me. We don't just get Travis Scott, but we also get his second skin, Astro Jack, in figure form. I really like the colors on the front of the packaging. The shiny text just looks really good, and the figures and their accessories are packaged nice and secure in there, and displaying them just like this would already catch your eye no matter where you put them. The Weeknd has a lot to live up to now. Taking off his slipcover, we see a render of his After Hours skin with red Fortnite text right above him. Both have the same texture the XOs on the slipcover had, and add some nice details to his box. However, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the other side, where we see the Weeknd figure and his accessories in all their glory. We also get this small sticker stuck to the front of the plastic that looks very similar to the text and font of his new album. You also see a big XO in the background, which is cool as it makes the inside look less empty. I mean, the packaging looks cool, but I don't know. I really like the colors on Travis's more, especially on the inside. There is this weird switch on the side of the Weeknd's box though. Wonder what it does. Oh, that's right, baby. The box and glow. Look how fucking sick this is. And it's red, which matches so perfectly. 10 out of 10. The Weeknd wins in packaging just for this feature alone. Accessories are a key part to a figure's fun. Sure, getting to see your characters in physical form is already enough for a lot of people, especially when you get to pose them however you like, but the accessories just add even more possibilities on what you can do with them. Let's start off with Travis, as he only comes with two things. The first thing is his Diamond Jack pickaxe. It's obviously based off of his only pickaxe from his set in-game, and man, comparing the two side by side, it's like they pulled it straight out of the game. Every detail from the in-game model is there, including the 3 glowing lines right above it. Now, I don't know if it's just mine, but if you put the clear plastic to the light, you can see a lot of smudges and just dirtiness on the inside. It's basically not an issue, but it can be slightly noticeable anytime it's near the light. Overall though, this pickaxe is phenomenal. The only other accessory we get included is this AR. The wrap it's covered in is the Goosebumps wrap, and it looks really good. The AR in general just has this nice weight and feel to it, and all the minor details you see on the scar in the game are on the gun, which is really cool. The wrap isn't totally one-to-one with how it's shown in the game, but who cares? It's printed on there phenomenally, and I know there's no issues. Other figures in this line don't even get accessories, so we're lucky that Travis got 2 that are themed to him. Both figures can hold the accessories pretty well, and they're scaled accurately to them. I don't have any other Victory Series figures to see if they're compatible with those. Honestly, all that matters though is that they're compatible with the figures they come with, and they definitely are for those. Moving on to the Weeknd, and he clearly has more accessories, but honestly, not by much. He comes with 3 pairs of hands, 2 fists, 2 open hands, and 1 pointing hand and a holding hand. The holding hand is meant to hold his pickaxe, which is a really sick accessory. I love the design of his pickaxe, so to see it in 1/12 scale is amazing, because I own a decent amount of 1/12 scaled figures, and seeing them hold a pickaxe is cool, especially for characters that aren't in Fortnite yet. As for the pointy figure hand, I have no clue why it's here. He doesn't do it in any of his renders or in-game or even in his emote. More options for posing, I guess. The last accessory we get is the XO backbling, which might be my favorite accessory he comes with. The outline and edges just have this tattered and ripped effect that you can see if you look at it in-game or even the official logo. It translated perfectly into physical form. And like the pickaxe, the size matches with my other figures, which means I can make someone like Goku or Denji look like they're repping XO. I don't know if you can count this as an accessory, but his sunglasses are also removable. I'm too scared of putting them on other figures because of how fragile small pieces like these can be, but the option is there if you want to do that. Overall, the Weeknd comes with a bare amount of accessories to keep you entertained, but I can't lie, I'm slightly disappointed. I know he's not technically listed under Legendary Series for reasons I'll mention later, but if you look at literally any other figure in that line, you'll see that they come packed with accessories. Face plates, extra weapons, and random items were included with every figure you got in the set. I would have loved to see them add maybe an extra faceplate of him smirking, or his smile from the Heartless music video, or a gun wrapped in his XO attack wrap like Travis Scott's. It is so much more disappointing when you realize that the other figures retail for a fraction of the price the Weeknd did, but we'll definitely be talking about the price later. Before you ask though, from what I've seen and owned, every other back bling, pickaxe, gun, and item are accessible with him, for the most part. Since his figures don't articulate like other figures in this line, he can have a hard time holding some of them, but they fit and scale well with him, and that's all that really matters. Between Travis and the Weeknd, both come with really well detailed and unique accessories. I'm impressed that Travis came with any, considering he comes from a line that has no accessories, and I'm disappointed that the Weeknd didn't come with more, considering he's from a line that is known for the amount of accessories they come with. It's going to be a close one, but I think the Weeknd will still win this one. Yeah, I wish he came with more, but the fact that he's compatible with nearly any other 1/12 scaled figure accessories, and especially those from the Fortnite line, is enough for him to win in my eyes. We're finally here, guys. We're finally going to talk about the actual figures. Yeah, this far into the video, and we're finally getting to the main point of it. I talked a lot about the Weeknd in the last segment, so let's give Travis a bit of the spotlight because his details are insane. Jazzware did a phenomenal job on both of these guys because I feel like they didn't have to add as much as they did or cheap out on a lot of it, but I'm really glad they didn't. Starting off with the head, and it's already more detailed than some $90 figures. The hair is actually detailed when they could have just gone fully flat, and the braids are the same thing too. Instead of just a piece of plastic hanging off, each one feels and looks realistic to his appearance during this time, let alone more than accurate enough for his Fortnite appearance. The robotic half of his face is where this figure really shines. It's actually sculpted in and not just painted onto his normal head. The teeth are each individually modeled, and there's some screw holes and lines showing where the metal pieces underneath would be screwed in, and that applies to all the robotic parts of his body. His tattoos are also painted on there perfectly, even with more complicated ones like the ones on the side of his body. Even his fucking underwear are a separate part of his body and not just connected to his pants. But most importantly, his Nikes got the logo in the air holes. Now, there are a couple of details that I don't like or wish were better on him. First off, the chains. Both of the figures use this cheap cardboard feeling material for their chains, and I don't really like it. I wasn't actually expecting them to use a real chain, but I wish they used something better because it doesn't even really rest against his chest that well. It kind of just floats above it. Secondly, the burn marks on his pants are really underwhelming. It kind of looks like he just rolled around in mud. Comparing it to the in-game version of him, and you see what I mean? Kind of wish they painted it black instead of just this light brown color they did. This is also a nitpick, but mine has some QC issues with the paint, which is very common, but there's a big drop of yellow paint on the upper chest, which is lame as hell. Thankfully the chain covers it for the most part, but it's annoying that it's always going to be there, and at least to my knowledge, I can't really get it out. There's not much I have to say about the sicko mode figure. In game, he has this weird water-like effect. In an effort to recreate on the figure, they gave him this shading and different blues all around his body. I'm not going to say it successfully completes that task, but it adds a nice amount of details I like to the figure. The main standout piece is his head though. Just look at it. It's usually easier to add more details to bigger figures, but these two still blew my expectations out of the water. Jazz were sure to put a lot of effort into bringing these two skins to life. The Weeknd's on the other hand, I just want to say off the bat, it's kind of not a fair comparison. Travis's skin has so many minor details that you would think a company would half-ass on, but nope, every little one is there. The Weeknd meanwhile is wearing basically all black with a red vest on. We still get some cool details, like his shoes are accurate and painted well, his tie has his stripes on it, and the shirt pockets even have the 3 lines on them. His face though, is pretty good. Human-like faces on a 1/12 scale figure are always hard to nail down, but Jazzware did a good job here. I guess it's because they're going for the Fortnite version of him, which would be less detailed than his actual faces. Thankfully it doesn't look like the in your eyes keychain. Mine does have this little bit of black paint on his face that does bother me a bit, and the paint application on his neck is not good. The one detail that really bothers me is the gap between his hair and forehead. Why does it look like this? It's so fucking ugly and ruins the face for me. There's no way to fix it to my knowledge, so I'm just stuck with this ugly gap on my figure. It's kind of hard to see because it is basically all black, so it just looks like his hair is really extended, and from a distance you can't really tell that much, but man, it's just once you do notice it, you kind of just always see it. Travis wins in the details category, and it's not even close. There were so many shortcuts they could have taken with him, but they didn't, and included every detail, even the minor ones. While the Weeknd had a relatively simple design, and they still managed to mess up and slightly disappoint. Action figures versus statues is a debate that will never really have a definitive winner. It'll always be a personal preference on how you want to display your favorite things or characters. For me, action figures will always be on top. The reason for that? Articulation. With one figure, I can get a character into multiple poses, even some that the company would never make themselves. Details might have to be sacrificed, and more care has to be put into them because they're more fragile than statues. But it'll always be worth it to me if it means I can get a really well articulated figure, which is why it hurts to see how bad the Weeknd's is. He can look down a decent amount but cannot look up at all, but you can rotate his head all the way around. He can surprisingly crunch forward a little bit but can't go any back. I want to say he can rotate at the waist, but he makes this weird sound I'm not comfortable with, so here's my big problem with this figure. His arms. They feel so fragile and get no range of motion. You would think it's because of the jacket, but no. His jacket is made of this soft rubber-like material in order to not restrict mobility, but it's not like it even matters because you can barely do anything with these arms. He has a butterfly joint, but he can't even use it. His arms can go this far back, this far forward, and this far in front of him. He can't even stand with his arms right next to him. He has a bicep swivel, and it does its job, and his elbows can bend just before 90 degrees. His hands do get a good amount of range, being able to go up, down, left, and right. This is because his hands are on the ball joint, which, from my knowledge, is the first for this series. Because like I said earlier, any other figure in this series just had articulated figures. His legs would be perfectly fine, and honestly the best part if there wasn't one major problem. His legs cannot go forward at all. Even trying to push it slightly forward feels like you're going to make it snap. Incredibly disappointing, as any pose that isn't him basically standing is almost impossible to achieve. His knees can get an insane amount of bend, but it doesn't look that good. And his feet can rotate a little bit and have the slightest amount of pivot. I know it sounds like I'm being extremely hard on this figure, and it's for two reasons. His articulation and quality control is almost a downgrade in every way from Jazzware's previous 6-inch figures. You could actually move their legs forward. The second reason is the price, but we're still not ready to discuss that. Travis Scott's articulation is not much better, but I don't expect it to be much better. His head can look up a decent amount and look down by just the slightest. He can also move left and right. His arms are the only really articulation in this figure. The top of his arms can go this far out and this far up. He can also rotate at the wrist. His forearm is on this ball joint that is really fragile. He can rotate it left and right while also getting a good amount of bend, but using it has already caused it to wear. His right arm is especially loose and you can already see the plastic cracking. His legs can move forward and back a bit, and his knees can bend at 90 degrees. Overall, I'm conflicted on which one wins. Travis is not meant to have much articulation, yet you have to be very careful with the arms especially, which limits the poses you can do with him, as if you barely had any options in the first place. You can't even move his feet, and he obviously doesn't have any waist or torso movement. Judging by other figures in the Victory Series line, they're not supposed to have more articulation than this, but they also don't seem as fragile. And moving on to the Weeknd, he just seems so limited when he literally had no reason to be. He could have just followed the exact same rules and models as the other figures from the Legendary Series line, and it would have been perfect. It's not impossible to get him into decent poses, but man, you're very limited. I can't really say one wins over the other. Both fail to live up to any expectations set, but if you need one to win, I guess Travis Scott wins by just a bit. Yeah, it's less articulations, but his disappointments seem to be specific to my figure and not just a universal thing. So now that we reviewed the packaging, details, accessories, and articulation, which figure has the better value for your money? The Weeknd has really cool packaging, more accessories, and more articulation. However, his quality control is really bad. He feels fragile and his articulation is pretty limited, despite promotional materials making you believe otherwise. Travis has better details on his figures and accessories, and while much more limited in articulation, you get what you expect out of him, albeit you have to be a little bit careful with him. The only way to really determine who wins in value is to look at the price for each. The Weeknd's figure retailed at $96, and all bias aside, he is not worth that price at all. For that price, you can get a Mayfix, amazing Yamaguchi, or a really packed SH Figuarts, all of which pride themselves on their amazing articulation, accessories, and good quality control. I can't confidently say the Weeknd has any of these. Even for a third of the price, there's so many better options for figures. And like I said, other figures in this line usually retail for $35, and look at the amount of stuff they came with, and no articulation had to be sacrificed. Travis Scott retailed for $75, already $20 less. But guess what? He comes with two figures with accessories. Plus, he's only slightly more expensive than what the figures would have probably costed on their own without accessories. So, to answer the question only asked by me, I declare Travis Scott as the better Fortnite figure. But to be honest, just buy the one you want and you'll be happier with. The Weeknd is one of my favorite artists ever, and I love action figures. So to have him in basically 1/12 scale was a dream come true despite his subpar quality. He's more than worth it for me, and I love that this even exists, let alone that I own it. Travis's is cool, but for his retail price, I just don't see as much value in it because I don't really listen to him much. I love a lot of his songs, but his music is just not the type I have a deep connection with, especially compared to someone like The Weeknd's music. So, buy the one you want and would appreciate more. Wait, actually don't, because it would make this video irrelevant. Fuck.